Hi YouTube, thanks for looking in and welcome to my new channel, Astrology Everyday. Same astrology, just a different channel to keep it separate, keep it a bit special. I'm in West Wales, United Kingdom. This is my birth chart for the day, if you will. A snapshot of the heavens at the very beginning in UK time of Sunday, the 4th of February 2018. All my times are UK times, that is UTC or GMT. The moon entered Libra last night, 21:46, about 9:45 in United Kingdom. So people are more sociable. The focus tends to be on partnership. Acquaintance is good as well. It can be a good time for a romantic meeting as well. You never know where they're going to go, but it can be a very good time for a romantic meeting. Moon staying in Libra now until Tuesday the 6th at 3:56 a.m. Void Monday, void in Libra Monday night, 18:45, 6:45 UK time, right through to 3:56 a.m. UK time, and then the moon enters Scorpio. Emotionally, could be a little bit difficult this week coming up because we have had the full moon in, or we've had the eclipses, we've had all kinds of things going on. The sun at the moment is in just over 15 degrees Aquarius as we come into astrological imbulk. Well, we came into that yesterday, and the Aquarius energy can be emotional at times. So I'm looking at possibly an emotional day today, certainly emotional times over the coming week, no doubt about it. But what week has no emotional times in it, eh? I would love to know. So the moon is in Libra, she's 82.1% full at the moment, but she's waning, she's gibbous. The last full moon, of course, on the last day of January at 13:26, had that huge full moon. The super blue blood moon, blimey, wasn't it a big one? So third quarter coming up on the 7th of February, not long now, 3 days time at 15:53 in the afternoon, we get into third quarter, and people kind of start questioning themselves. Well, they will do that, won't they? Basically, a last quarter moon, well, this one in particular anyway, brings in a certain amount of intimacy and also a need for detachment at the same time. The two things are almost in competition. Can be difficult. Really, what we've got to think about is, in our relationships, how can we bond at a very deep level and yet keep our own individuality alive? That is always the question in any long-term relationship, isn't it? When partners get together and try and make a marriage last, or, you don't have to be married, do you? But you know what I mean. People having a real good go at a long-term relationship, that is one of the biggest challenges, and it really is worth going for. Some people try to duck it. But believe me, if you were I need some Earl Grey, that's what I need. Greek Orthodox priests, right, they have to either be a monk or get married, but they have to understand what it is to live in a sense, with some kind of sense of community, So if you're in a relationship and it is being tricky at the moment, just, hang on, as long as it's a good thing, as long as you're happy in it, hang on, because things do change. Venus and Mars are forever in different alignments, and that doesn't help matters either. Mars right at the moment is in Sagittarius and will be in Sagittarius until about, I think it's March the 3rd. Oh, I should know. But it's about the second week in March anyway that Mars comes out of Sagittarius. But it's in Sagittarius now. People could be kind of springing back from things, taking an interest and then springing back again. It could be on, it could be off, it could go like that. Mars itself right now square Neptune in Sagittarius. So the motivations, the actions, the initiatives of some people bring questions up. Well, how could someone do that? And how could you? That kind of thing. Not just why could you, but how could you is the question that's being asked. You can get some name calling, you can get confusions over remarks, leadership struggles, and leaders in that situation have to tell some fibs to get everyone through, and that tends to come back to haunt them after. So you just never know. Basically, keep it straight, be straight with people, be straight with yourself. That's important too. Venus is sextile Uranus, so unusual events and firsts may occur with that transit. Group activities and behaviours can seem quite unstable, playing in there to that relationship thing again. But anything like that is productive if you keep working on it. And that's the thing, really, keep working at it. Life throws things in our way, but you just keep going. I was in the forces once, and that's what they taught us. Doesn't matter what happens, just keep going. If you're absolutely stuck in a hole and you can't get out, drop down, breathe, think, and you might get out of it. That is usually actually what happens, and they teach the American Marines that, and they teach a lot of special forces that, because it's very true. What is going on in your own mind is a really strong thing. It's not just the thoughts you have, it goes really to a much deeper level than that. So be mindful, be in your own mind, be thinking about that as we go into the next week, because things are definitely on the change. There's something else on February the 9th. Mercury is going to conjunct the South Node. Now, Mercury essentially is all to do with communication. It's said to be the messenger of the gods. They can be quite profound messages, they can be shocking messages, but they're always good. But Mercury conjuncting the South Node is an interesting one, because the South Node is where we look back. And hopefully we don't look back in anger. Hopefully we don't look back very often. But in order to stand on the shoulders of the experience that we've had in our lives in times gone past, that experience which is supposed to be there to guide us, we have to keep going if that's going to happen, basically. And when we get Mercury involved with the South Node, we can get all kinds of wrong impressions about that. So just basically stick to your guns around February the 9th. Anyway, I'm rushing off ahead of myself. I want to give you a little something about next week if I can. In the biodynamic cycle under a Libra moon, it is a flower day. And if you're a spiritual worker of any kind, I always think of the 1,000-petal lotus flower, which we must open and close carefully when we work. If in doubt, open it every day, close it, and then just open it when you're going to work. Close it every time. That's the best way to go with it. This is great. I can say this on my astrology channel because everything on here is aimed at people with some kind of interest in spirituality, or at least getting rooted in their own life and taking their own life path forward. So I can say things like that now, which is great. This is the whole point of having astrology every day as its own channel. Please subscribe, don't let it go. This is going to be a new thing, especially for this. It's going to work a lot better than the Twig Brother thing, which is still going to go on. Stick with Twig Brother. All that stuff is still happening as well. But I wanted to make a special place for the spiritual, the astrology really, and any spiritual stuff that I'm doing as well. Okay, so there's that 1,000-petal lotus flower, and that is just about the astrology. Spaceweather.com though. Let's have a look at spaceweather.com. This is where science meets astrology. And this is where we find a bit of truth in both. And they support each other. It's really worth looking at spaceweather.com. You'll see the connection. The solar wind speed today is down a bit on yesterday, and it wasn't very fast yesterday, just 332 kilometers a second. Okay, if my car was going that fast, I'd say that was pretty fast, but for solar wind, that isn't much at all. The density of the protons there, 7.5 a cubic centimeter. That is down a bit. My alarm's going off because I've got it much earlier than I meant to, but I'm glad I did. It's good to get these things online. Bright and early. It has thrown me though. Right, the sun is absolutely blank. There was a sunspot 2698 yesterday. It has vanished off the face of the sun. Now it's round the back. It's no problem anymore. But there is some solar wind blowing from a coronal hole right up the top of the sun as we look at it at the moment. We're expecting some geomagnetic buffeting today. I'm looking at, they're not saying there's going to be a geomagnetic storm, but there's going to be kind of very, very minor geomagnetic storms, which they're just calling buffeting. Now that can play into electronics, it can play into the human brain, which essentially is electronic. All that fluid in there is what you call an electrolyte. It's as active as any kind of electronics you've got in your house is the brain. So that can get into the human mind a little bit when we get that. But more than anything, it's things like electronics, our computer connections, our internet, the electronics that we depend on as well in hospitals, things like that. I've got no worries about any of that at all today because there is nothing major indicated at all. But that's why we look at sunspots, that's why we're interested in them. And if you take a look at spaceweather.com, I should think you will pretty soon become interested in them as well. The more I look at the science, the astronomy behind the planetary movements, the more convinced I am that one day astrology and astrology are definitely going to meet in the middle. I'm quite excited to see it happen. It will happen one day. And as I say, spaceweather.com, well worth a look. You'll see some beautiful photography on there as well. Actually, there's a lovely double halo thing on that page at the moment. So take a look at that as part of your Sunday Sunday viewing. Meanwhile, also take a look at the Twig Brother channel for part of your Sunday viewing. I'm going to say thanks very much for joining me. Hope you'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a beautiful Sunday, the 4th of February, my friends. Bye-bye.